Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Today we're doing episode number 13 for the Japanese Grand Prix of our first season in Formula 1. If you missed any of the previous episodes, I have to double check now. The link to the playlist is in the description below, so go and check it out. You can also go and watch the F2 Career Mode. We did a sort of short 5-episode career on F1 2019, so you can go and check that out as well, should you haven't not seen that as well, should you wish to as well. But yes, taking a look at R&D, obviously we're not really in a place where we're going to be upgrading any more facilities this year, but engine, I think we need a major power upgrade. Probably be the last upgrade that we do on the engine's power side. It's going to come in sadly just after the Japanese Grand Prix, but then it should be available for the US, Mexico and Brazil, which all of them have long straights involved at some point, so that extra engine power is definitely going to help, and that's going to shoot us up a lot, up the grid a lot, as we've fallen to the second to the bottom, even behind Alfa Romeo and Ferrari with those engine defaults, resets rather. Sashi signs, we've also second to worst, and we're fourth to worst on the aero, although we have got another aero upgrade coming, which will come in for this Japanese Grand Prix, which is coming. We've repurchased that tyre wear upgrade, and that's also coming, so that's going to help us as well. I just feel that will help us in the long runs. I'm thinking Brazil, that's going to help us really at all of the remaining episodes. Maybe Japan as well. Maybe we can, I think in today's episode we can probably do the alternative strategy and not use the hard tyres like we have done in other races where the tyre wear has been that bad, but as we go for the usual horrific 3-day wasteful episode. But Renault have done us an absolute treat and provided us with an ultimate engine upgrade. It's season 1. I'm a little bit against, they shouldn't really be providing with ultimate engine upgrades in season 1, but nevertheless that's catapulted us and the other Renault teams of Renault and McLaren up the grid. I think the focus going into the reigning 3 races is to get those 2 major Sashi upgrades done on the weight redistribution and the weight reduction upgrades, and that's where we're going to do. In terms of facilities, we're going to purchase the fabrication upgrade on the aero side, because we can. I think that's probably going to do it, because obviously at this point we need to start saving money, because I want to run when we get to next year's game where season 2 will occur, I want to have parallel. I've got to try and obviously repeat what we've done for season 1 on next year's game, so that's the reason why I'm not really looking at doing any more, just to saving the money, just in case Codemasters don't actually change it, to make it so you can you get your prize money before your teammates' contract is up. So yes, and not only that, we don't really need to be upgrading them. We're not yet at the stage where we've reached a wall in the R&D tree in that term. So yes, the aero upgrade has come on the car as well, so that's going to be good. We've got these 2 upgrades, but we've got enough to do a drag reduction upgrade. Unfortunately we can't rush it because the facility hasn't come in yet, so we're going to develop. That's going to come in between the United States and Mexican Grand Prix. That might be the final upgrade we do on the aero side as we focus ourselves to the Sashi side for the rest of this season. And also one thing to note, the end of the race, it's going to rain, yet how much rain I don't know, because obviously Jeff uses the BBC for his weather forecasts and they're about as accurate as basically somebody says, well, I think it's going to rain but I'm not entirely sure. It's It's basically the equivalent of asking a snail if it's going to rain at the Japanese Grand Prix. And McLaren and Renault there have made some big upgrades, so that's pretty much the order of where it is in real life, really. Obviously Mercedes far ahead of everybody else. Red Bull have the potential, but obviously never failing to deliver, really, because their car is so unstable, really. But moving then to qualifying, it's looking up. I'd love to see both cars into Q2. We haven't had that in quite a few races now. We're obviously now ahead of the likes of Haas, Alfa Romeo and Williams, so we should be able to dump all three of those cars into Q2. We come across the line at the end of Q1 for 15th place, so we're getting ourselves into Q3 on our side of the garage. But unfortunately, somebody hasn't, in the terms of George Russell, who's got only qualified 19th, 3/10 slower than us. There is a big gap to the cars in front of us, so 4/10, so that's a big gap to cover off in the remaining of the season. So this might be the best where we can qualify, but still I expect George to be up there, and he's not, so that's definitely a mark against him about maybe why he's not going to be in the car for next season. Ultimately we will see who's in the car next season, next year, on next year's game. Obviously at the moment of time, they said that Russell's got a contract, so he should be in next year's game. As we move into Q2 then, this is going to be we're going to go right on board for this entire lap. This is pretty much our fastest lap of this is our fast lap on the session. Obviously the delta is only against at the time on the used tyres. We're now using our one and only remaining set of new soft tyres, so through the S's we are now up to 2/10 up as we go onto this sort of old style circuit, and just like in real life, we never really know what's going to happen with these old style circuits, as opposed to the new boring circuit at Saudi Arabia they've just announced today, which personally I'd rather have Portimao than another Tilkedrome, but there we go. Again, obviously F1 is a sport that is currently being driven by money and not by actually making the racing entertaining, and until they don't realise that, they're never going to be able to produce the entertaining racing. But anyway, back to our lap. We're 7.5 up already on our previous delta, but looking at the left hand side, we're 7/10 slower than Stroll, so I don't think this is going to be anything else than possibly P15. Obviously that 4/10 gap from Q1 is such a big margin to haul over in just one session. Obviously we'll see where we get, and it is P15 as we expected, ahead of Magnussen. You should expect that should be expected because the Haas is slower than us, but 5/10 is actually the gap to Kvyat in the AlphaTauri, so obviously the gap is probably around, I'm going to say 8/10 if we presume that the Ferrari is there. But there's enough about that. It's time for today's Japanese Grand Prix.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at the unique figure of 8 Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with average speeds approaching 136 miles per hour. DRS will be available, of course, into the potential passing opportunity at turn 1, although the best place for overtaking will be through 130R and into the final chicane. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Now, I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Sainz, Lando Norris and Ocon, Vettel, Gasly, Perez and Valtteri Bottas. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll, Leclerc, Daniel Kvyat and Ricciardo, the owner driver, Magnussen, Roman Grosjean and Kimi Raikkonen, Russell, Giovinazzi, Latifi and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
We'll see about that. Now, looking at the race director, what people's tyres are on, we're going to switch this up a bit. We're going to take a slight gamble. I know it's a slight gamble. We're going to start on the mediums and potentially adjust this. I know it's a tenth slower doing this way, starting on mediums, ending on softs, but there's rain coming at the end of the race. Now, if that rain comes early enough, we could get a free pit stop on and just go from mediums to inters. So that's what I'm counting on through that. If not, we'll just be on the soft tyres at the end, where most people will probably be on hards. So strategy good today. 5 red lights are out then, and away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a better start than Ricciardo, who's got a better start than Kvyat, and we're going to the outside into turn 1. Leclerc there on the outside. We go off circuit there. Have to legal overtake. Have to get the move back, and there's a thing stuck in our rear diffuser. So we've come off circuit into turn 1. It's just the normal line, and Ricciardo's front wing just detaches itself, and front end plate attaches itself from my car and then attaches itself to the rear end. It eventually dislodges itself, but I've never actually seen that in an F1 game, for it to attach itself. You can see it is his front left end plate there, and Ricciardo has to come in as we dive it down the inside of Leclerc, who's caught napping at the hairpin. Can we get Bottas as well? Although he is in the Mercedes, the car is already 5 tenths faster than anything else in this career mode. The track narrows and we have to lift off and we get on the grass. And Bottas then, of course, starts using the machine the power dominance machine that he's got under the thing, going around the outside of Sergio Perez, and he's going to get the move done through into the S section and move up a place. Although Perez is now starting to disappear over the road as my mediums start to wear, and Kvyat has got himself back in front of Leclerc, so the AlphaTauri driver, and there's sort of a big of a gap now forming to Magnussen, who's got our teammate as well, who's not really made up any positions at all through this race. But we jump now to lap 15 of this race. We have the lead of the Grand Prix. A lot of people have come in to make their first stops, including Verstappen, who is on the only other person on mediums. Rain is not yet coming. It's going to come potentially in the final laps of this race if it hurries up. You can see that some of the clouds are starting to form, so there is a chance that it will rain going to this race. But we've got Hamilton all the way up behind us. He's got DRS coming out of here, but we've got better traction outside the turn corner, coming in at the end of lap 16 for a set of soft tyres. It will be. So going to turn 1, you can see there the end of lap 16, it's getting even darker here. The clouds are starting to form, but it's not coming quick enough for us, and we're going to have to come in. And Hamilton surely now, although Albon is on medium, so, but then again Albon is only 75 rated on the base game, and even though we are 13 episodes in, I don't know how much increase he's made. As soft tyres are on 2.9 second stop, which is an average 2020 pit stop. We're going to come out behind Danny Kvyat as well, who's dropped Leclerc like a hot potato. Leclerc not having a very good race, and Magnussen is now a long way behind in that gabble. As we drop Leclerc really up, the soft tyres are getting really dark here. But we're going to have a look around the outside of Kvyat. Did have a look on the inside. We're going to make it all the way around the outside and move up in to what was now is P12. This is where we were before our pit stops. And this is the group. Now can we catch the group ahead of us? They're all on hard tyres apart from the racing point of Lance Stroll. And Vettel now has got past. It's been headed by Gasly and moving to lap 26. You can see that the rain has arrived, but it's not wet enough for intermediate tyres. We're in the slipstream. This is the last lap of the Grand Prix. Can we make it around the outside of Perez where we've made it move? No, we can't. It's a little bit too wet and the tyre wear's starting to kick in. So this is going to have to be dive into the hairpin now on Perez. We can get points here. Dive it down the inside and make the move up and up into P11 now. As we're now all over Ocon going into the spoon curve. Let's get this move done. Can we get it? It's going to have to be into the final corner for us to get this move done. But Ocon is going slower on the approach to 130R, and we're going to go down the inside onto the approach to 130R and move up into the points into P10. We're drifting it through, and Ocon's going to come back at us on the outside. We're going to have to defend the outside. We've gone wide, a bit of a lock up there, but we compromise our line, which compromises Ocon's entry, and out the final corner we will come to finish in P10. But yes, there's a replay, drifting it through, and then we had to cut off Ocon to ensure that he doesn't have. But what a fantastic ending. P10, fantastic result. Definitely take that. More points scored as well. You can see it is now really raining here. But yes, more points on the board. That is definitely the momentum we want to keep. Obviously you can see how the Gasly is slowing up. He must have some sort of issue. He was going so slowly. He's backing everybody up, which allowed us to get us the point for us. And yes, and Bottas got driver of the day. That just to show the power of the Mercedes, managed to come back for third. But Lewis Hamilton winning again. It's all Mercedes in this career mode. Excuse me. Ricardo did a 2-stop in the end. He had that damage, so he set the fastest lap, but obviously he doesn't get a point because he finished outside the top. We remain in P10 though. Norris had a good race, so he's catching up to us. Stroll has dropped to P12, but they're all catching up to myself, so we need another top 6 result. USA is next. It's a good track for us on this game so far. Obviously we're just looking to keep ahead of AlphaTauri in the Constructors' Championship though. But we're miles ahead of Alfa Romeo, so we should get that big sponsor bonus at the end of the season.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
Well, when drivers in front of us go in front of us, then
The weather was miserable,
catch them up.
but do you feel this was an advantage for you?
It wasn't miserable, it was only the last 2 laps, but I think it was an advantage over Ocon.
Appreciate your time.
But yeah, it was definitely a great finish for us. So our drivers now to team level claim 9. Only managed to get still on level 12 though. Sorry, up to 13 now as well on the driver acclaim. We've got a nice healthy almost 5 million. Now I want to also point out that in the game save in this year there's a reset, so I'm gonna this is why when we get to Brazil you won't actually see when we see end season, you won't actually see that part, because obviously we can still save a big amount of R&D points up to that, and ultimately it depends what happens, because also if the game save in 2021 triggers that upgrade. So if it does, then I will show you when we get around to it this time next year. So instead we're going to focus on this year, and it's going to be all about Sashi upgrades from the next race. We've got enough resource points now. I think we're going to go for a weight redistribution upgrade first, and then for the weight reduction upgrade then second. So that's the plan of action for the remaining 3 races now. We've got all in the Americas for this season. But if you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you need to see more episodes of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode as and when they come out every Thursday on the channel at 7 PM. You can see Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes have already wrapped up the Constructors' Championship. I think they can get the Drivers' Championship as well next time out. Until the next VR6 time, take care, enjoy your day, and goodbye.